Welcome to this video about OpenBrush. My name is Haley and I'll be teaching you about the ins and outs of OpenBrush. So basically, what is OpenBrush? OpenBrush is an innovative three-dimensional art application on the MetaQuest headset that grants the artist infinite possibilities that suppress what is feasible with pencil and paper. While being unrestricted to a canvas or desk like most artistic mediums, OpenBrush allows the user to draw and create in an open world, allowing you to creatively roam free. With unique features such as animated brushes and distinct endless backgrounds, the possibilities to create truly are endless. And over the semester, me messing around with OpenBrush and stuff, I do truly think that it is a very unique art program. I've created a lot of pieces in it that I would never have been able to create traditionally, and I really have gotten the hang of it. In this video also, I'll talk about some tips that I have as well for the program, and also my recommendations for brushes. During my time in the semester with the class of OpenBrush and VR, I really did get to experiment with a lot of the brushes, and I also helped my classmates learn a lot about the brushes as well. To start off with the basics of OpenBrush, on your left trigger, you'll have a lot of the setting features, which include all of your tools, your brushes, and your color settings. And on the bottom half of that, you'll have all your settings for the file size, saving it, or going back to the original menu of OpenBrush. On your right trigger, you'll have most control over the brush and eraser tool through there. So it's more like your stylus. And on that side as well, you can control the size of how you paint and what the size of the brush will be. To paint, you have to press the right trigger on the right controller, and basically you just kind of use it like a wand. You just move your hand around in the air, create freeform shapes, and it'll create a line. In beginner mode, you're limited to a few tools, starting off with the basic eraser tool. It erases in sections. The straight edge tool also helps create very sharp lines. So just by creating lines with the trigger, how you do a normal organic line, you can create really sharp and clean edges. I use this a lot when it comes to drawing. It's really helpful too, And the next tool on the palette is the environment tool. And basically it just shifts through a bunch of environments. If you're not really happy with the full black environment that you're in, you could swap to anything as creative as a snow environment or a different color or the night sky. Through this example, when I'm messing around with it, I swapped through a lot of the night sky ones, which I found really creative. And if you're building something that's obviously space themed, it only helps the environment when you're with these environments as well. Also the dress form, which I thought was really unique. You can create VR art as well, like it's like a fashion statement kinda. Thought it was very creative as well. Yep, and there's just some more colors. I personally really like the pink lemonade one. I'm a huge fan of pink, so it makes everything pink. The next tool in your palette is the camera tool. Overall, it's self-explanatory. Just by pressing the right trigger, you can take photos in the actual application itself. Teleport basically makes sure that you can go anywhere, even if you're in a non-motion state using this platform. If you just hover over where you would like to go and press the right trigger, you'll teleport there, even if you're sitting down. The mirror tool also creates a plane of axis for mirror. Basically what it does is there's a y-axis, a z-axis, and an x-axis because it's a three-dimensional plane. So you can create mirrored art anywhere. And as you can see in my demonstration, I was doing some like squiggles at first, but then I did a perfectly symmetrical heart, which obviously is thanks to the mirror tool. And since what I just showed you is beginner's mode, I want to go into the advanced mode, starting off with the color drop tool. Basically, any object that you press that you already put down, it'll select the color and also the same brush that you used, which is very helpful. Yep, and as you can see, it also works on animated brushes as well, so it's not just limited to color brushes. The repaint tool basically allows you to repaint any object, just kind of like how the eraser tool is, where it selects everything. Just press that and it'll recolor whatever shape you're aiming at. It does work in chunks though, as I've noticed. It doesn't really work entirely as a whole. You need to do every little part. As you can see, I didn't get the back of the dragon's head because it was a separate part. Yep, and then you have the same kind of tools as the previous stage, which was the basic one. And for the select tool, you can also select certain objects, you can erase certain objects, move them around, duplicate them. It's a very useful tool, but I would say that this is more of an intermediate tool to learn. I used to have difficulty with this program as well. Continuing off on those tools, we have some of the other similar tools like the straight edge, but this tool I wanted to show you kind of makes shapes more concave and convex. So you could basically take parts in and pull them out, or take parts in and push them back. It's the two on the bottom of this panel that really do that. These can be really useful if you're especially using the 3D tools, such as I am. I'm using all of the hole brushes, which I'll get into that a little bit later, but those are the tools that I use mostly. Yep, and here you go. Here's the reverse of that tool we just saw. This one's making everything more filled rather than taking away. Yep, and then also the undo button is also on the left-hand controller as well. Yep, and down here you have a little bit more of the environment features. So now with the advanced version, you unlock lights. Light sources come really in handy, especially when you're using metallic brushes that I've noticed. So basically you can control the light source, which is the sun, or the bounce light, which is the moon. And you can also change the colors of those as long as the angle, or as well as the angle. Personally, when I do this, I like to make the light very yellow because I like warm lighting for my pieces. It gives a more friendly approach to the piece, very friendly environment. But you can also play around with cool colors or just completely something unknown, maybe go green lighting. Yep, and as you can see here, now with the advanced mode, a little bit of a more advanced background feature pops up. Now you can rotate around the sky, change the position of the gradient if you'd like, so it's a little bit more customization for your environment. As you can see here, I'm playing around with the fog, I'm playing around with the colors in here, and also playing around with the whole sphere in general. Yep, and also with these panels, if you want to move them, all you have to do is press the inner triggers on the controllers. You could do the right or left, and you can grab that panel and move it. Also, if you press those inner triggers together, you can also adjust the size of your environment and what you're working with. A tip from me, if you're not really comfortable drawing really big scale or moving around a lot, if you make your feature very small, you can work on it more like a dollhouse, and it's honestly really fun to work like that. And I do a lot of small details like that, and then I just expand it when I'm done if I want to make it a big environment. Yep, and in here I'm talking about the snowman environment. Personally, one of my favorites. I think it's so charming, but you can basically decorate a snowman. And here now we have these tools that basically make masks for your shapes that you would like to make. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the panel, but basically it's a template that you put for your shape. So let's say you want a perfect circle like this sphere. Those shapes are very hard to make in a three-dimensional plane without a lot of experience, so it's understandable. So I basically shrink it down using those inner triggers, place it down, and all you have to do is select your brush. I'm going to select white, obviously, because it's snowman. And then you just kind of brush onto it, and it has this sort of magnetic feel. So it'll make sure that you are drawing only on the sphere. The inside does not get filled, so it'll be completely hollowed out. So if you want to make something that has something inside of the shape, you totally can. Yep, and then you have another feature for the local media. You have your camera paths. You also have layers as well. Layers works very similar to normal digital art, where as you layer things on top of each other, they'll show up more. So let's say I have a layer on the bottom and I put one on top, then you'll see the features that are on top of that layer instead of the ones on the bottom. Yep, and there's some more optional settings as well. I'm not going to dive too much into these because they're pretty complex, but it just talks about a lot of the transformation tools, a lot of the planes of axis as well that I was mentioning with the mirror tool. But yeah, and here's the fun part, the brushes. And so now I want to go over the brushes I normally use. Right now I'm showing you the whole brushes, which I love these brushes. I use them for everything because I love that 3D modeled look. But it's very simple to use these brushes unlike normal 3D modeling. As you can see, it kind of has like a cone shape to the brush. It's kind of complicated to get a grasp on at first, but overall you'll understand it. Basically, every point that you touch will be connected somehow, so you can't just make like a sharp angle, it will become a triangle. Yep, And over here is my second brush I love to use, called the icing brush. All of the text I did on these videos is with the icing brush. It's just a very smooth to use brush, and it has that three-dimensional shape that I just absolutely love. And right here you can see me actually adjusting the size on the right controller. Yep, and you can make this brush totally massive or very tiny. And so here's some fun little extra ones that I really like personally. I use the Comet brush a lot for fire. I use the Velvet brush when I want just a little bit of a flare. And the Rainbow brush I put on everything because I think it's just fun. And here I'm showing you the brushes. Obviously you can download extra brushes if you would like. They have a lot of additional downloads for brushes. But here is just generally the base pack you get when you open OpenBrush. And now on to my favorite part, exclusively by OpenBrush, which are animated brushes. So you can see here, I used a lot for the text as well, a brush called Dr. Squiggles, which I think is a very funny name. It's just a simple pen that kind of has a 3-frame animation to it, like a jiggle. I also love the Bubbles brush. It's just fun. So yeah, you can place bubbles anywhere you want, and they kind of have a more organic movement. And the next brush is the stars. I love glitter as well, so I think the stars are very creative and they're a really cool animated brush. The bigger you make these two brushes, by the way, the more dispersed they will get. And here's the disco animated brush, which I find very fun. It has more of a metallic finish and it's just fun. To bring everything to a wrap, OpenBrush has a ton of possibility for young artists of any skill level. Honestly, the platform is very fun, unique, and creative, and obviously will get better with time. So I just wanted to thank you for watching this video and tuning in to see my tips and tricks, and also my beginner's guide to OpenBrush. I hope you enjoy OpenBrush, and I hope you make something creative. Thank you.